Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing? See who all we got in here so far. Got Budget Guy, Neil McKenzie, Joseph S., Lemmy, Muirsalt. So that's about it for now. I wasn't expecting a whole lot of people here. Ground Fog, good to see you, buddy. I was just, like I said, this wasn't a planned thing. I started to do this Sunday, and I don't know why I just wasn't quite feeling it Sunday. So I thought I'd just make a regular video and release it, but I don't know. I just prefer doing things live. That way, if I mess up, I don't have to question, should I start all over or any of that. Hello, Kathleen Smith. Hey, Paul Mills. So anyway, for anybody that watches this in the future and you're not, just a regular to my channel, I wouldn't necessarily call this a tutorial. This is more of a, if I can do this, anybody can, because my viewers all know I have nerve damage in my hands. They don't work exactly right. You're going to see some of that. It's a little embarrassing. You're going to question, why don't you just pick that screw up? Well, sometimes I just can't. So that is what it is. But yeah, got your fiddle already. These are typically longer than they should be for a simple scale swap because I do struggle with some stuff. So yeah, we'll just get into it. First of all aboard the struggle bus. That's right, Stevie. Stevie and Jack Slung's the reason why I'm doing this scale swap. I bought this S90V PM2 from Jack Slung's. He cut me a very good deal on it. Very gracious of him. And I didn't really like the military, the OD green scales on it. So I ordered some scales, got excited, ordered some scales, some hardware. Never crossed my mind that I ordered the scales off Amazon. I posted a picture of what I ordered. Jake, being the asshole that he is, immediately went online and looked that part number up and realized that they were Chinese. I've been catching shit about it ever since. So we're going to do away with the Chinese scales. So I think I made a really good decision in my replacements. I went with Applied Weapons Tech. So far, I've been extremely happy with everything I've got from them. I did question getting something this polished. However, I like the way anodized aluminum looks when it starts to wear. When the edges start to get a little rubbed. I kind of like it. So hopefully I'll like it this time too. So anyway, I don't have anybody here to help me with the chat, like Panic used to. I'm quite sure I'm going to get off screen at times and I'm going to ignore you guys at times. I pre-apologize for that. Like I said, for my normal misfit bunch that shows up here, you already know that, so I'm sure it's not going to offend you any. And I'm also sure I'm going to take this apart in completely the wrong order, as I always do. I can never remember which side to really start with. So yeah, it just is what it is, man. I just let it fall apart and figure it out the hard way. It's always been kind of the way I roll. So here we go. I'm going to start with taking the clip off. I ignore myself too, so it's good. Yeah. I don't know if I'd call this a mod, Milton. It's just a scale swap, but I mean, it is modifying the knife from its factory self. So yeah, I'm not a modder by any means. Speaking of modders, I can't wait to do a video on my Protect TR4 when it comes back. Guys, I've had a Protect TR4 manual for a couple of years, maybe 3 years. And I've never carried it because, and I hate to say this about Protect, but this is the truth. That knife is garbage. Just the design was garbage. The shape of it is great. It looks just like the TR4 Auto. It literally looks just like this knife. I love that blade shape, but it's a button lock. And the way they did it, I've talked about this way too many times on here, but the blade on this side simply rides against the scale. And on this side, it rides against a tension washer. And, it's got the standard plunge button. So when you go to close it, it's nearly as much effort to close it as this auto. It will not flop shut like the Malibu and the new Mordax and all that does. It also didn't open well at all. So I sent that thing off to the mad scientist that is Sawtooth Dave. Not only did he regrind the blade for me, making a super thin slicer with a hollow grind, he also recently purchased a mill, and he actually milled out my scales in order to put phosphor bronze washers on each side. So I'm super stoked about that. He sent me a video of it. A couple of you guys have seen that video. I know Stevie has. I'm really impressed. It's going to be a little bit though, because I had him ship it directly to our resident professional knife sharpener, Mr. Kyle Coonley. So looking forward to getting that back soon. But no rush. Not sure if Kyle's going to be here tonight. He's questionable. He's a little bit under the weather, so let's just jump into it, man. I don't know any other way of going about it. I'm sure I'm going to screw it up. That's nice to see that screw was already loose. So that tells you how good my mod work is. I did this. I put these scales on live as well. Whoa. Let me move this key. Well, no, I'm not gonna. Got my keyboard in my lap. And it's probably a bad idea, but the reason I'm not moving it is because the last time I did this, every time I dropped something, the keyboard caught it. So that might be an advantage for me. Man, I really don't get how people do these live streams by themselves, man. It is so awkward sitting here talking to yourself. I mean, I know you guys are there. Some of you are listening, some of you are not. But it's just a really awkward feeling to sit here and carry out a conversation and try to think of things to talk about when no one is adding to the conversation. I mean, I know you guys are in the chat, but I'm horrible at keeping up with the chat. And yeah, man, it's just it makes me question all the time, do I want to continue to do this? Because, well, look at there, Mere Salt. I guess I got super lucky, huh? The thing just fell right out. Probably because it's aftermarket and all that. But anyway, that went well, it seems like. I do not. So I guess we have to go back to the T8 or 6, whatever it is. I can't read it, so I honestly don't know. And disassemble this scale from the liner. So there went the tube. I remember not having a great time with the tubes last time. Seemed like I even remember having to get up and go get some pliers to hold those things where I could get the screws out of them, but we'll see how this goes. I can feel it spinning. I may have to do that again. I'm going to struggle even more to carry on conversation, guys, while I'm doing this, because I'm an old dumb redneck. Sometimes it's hard for me to talk and think at the same time. But of course, my Knipex are in another room. I know where they're at. I may have to go get them so I can get that off. So give me just 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. I'll let you stare at my mess for about 10-15 seconds. Sorry about that, guys. I'm sure y'all talked amongst yourselves. Before I show these Nipec Wildgun show, look, check these out, man. Yeah, look how horrible those look. But I got some good news a few days ago. I was actually on a Mac tool truck, and I was going to buy me another pair because these work in this position. They will not adjust. The buttons froze, because I left them in a unsatisfactory environment. But so anyway, I went on to the tool truck, was going to buy me another pair, and I told him what I'd done, and he's like, "Just bring them to me." I was like, "Do what?" He's like, "Well, they have a lifetime warranty." He said, and they literally do not question. They do not question returns. They just replace them. So just bring them to me. I'll replace them. So I'm super stoked about that because I've got 3 pair that are like that. I didn't buy my Nipecs as part of the EDC hype train. I use these. I was a mechanic for about 25 years, and I use these every day, every single day. I didn't own another pair of slip joint pliers, so I was all about Knipex and almost all their products. I'm not a fan of their needle nose for some reason. They're a little too flexy, but not hating on them for that. But anyway, they're going to replace them all, and that's awesome because I didn't want to have to buy them. Now, this is a liner delete, so this liner will be no more. So I got to figure out how to properly do that. I'm going to take the pivot out here, and once again, I guess you guys can see, everybody can see, these are Applied Weapon Tech scales. Seems like almost all their stuff is a liner delete. I'm not saying that's misleading, but I was a little bit confused because it only deletes one side, and that's because the other side, contains the compression lock. So it makes sense. But yeah. So there's our one washer. I guess the other washer must be stuck to the blade. No. Ah, there it is. All right, so I suppose the next thing we're going to do is install the pivot Y'all forgive me for not being on screen. That was one thing John was always good at, yelling at me when I was working off screen. Nobody could see what I was doing. It may sound sappy, but man, I really miss Panic. This was a this whole ordeal, not the scale swaps, just going live in general was so much easier when I had him on here. You don't think about how hard it is to think of stuff to talk about when you don't have somebody kind of urging the that ain't right. Somebody urging the conversation along. I don't know if you guys could see that, but that pivot is extremely crooked. It's probably because I'm not considering the D-shaped pivot. I don't even know which side it's on. Like I said, this is par for the course for me. I always mess that up and have to go back and figure out where it's supposed to be and where it actually is. I don't see. Well, this is kind of odd. If anybody on here has done a set of AWT replacements, if this side replaces this liner, the D shape is in this liner. So Okay, never mind, guys. It's there. I'm old. I couldn't see it. It's not near as evident looking at it. Well, that's going to suck. So anyway, let's get my screw in here so I got a place to a way to hold it. So this is what I'm talking about, this neuropathy, guys. It's sad to struggle with something as simple as just picking a screw up or that pivot up and putting it in there, but I do. That's the decisions I made with my health and not taking care of myself. I gotta locate that D shape. In case you're wondering, I already have my reading glasses on, so this is going to be about as good as my eyesight gets. I've got extra lighting. So that was a complete fail. It was so weird. When I picked this up, I could see the D shape so clearly. And now I can barely see it. There we go. Now let me get it. Now to get it in there. Can you guys see that? How crooked that's going? I mean, I'm sure it's me. I'm sure I'm not doing something right. Let me back that off a hair. Like I said, anybody that jumps in here later on thinking this is a tutorial, it's really not. It went in that time, guys. This is just an opportunity to watch a guy really struggle with something that should be very simple. You know what? I can't do that, man. That's dirty. Let me get something to wipe this off with. In true redneck fashion, I'm just going to use my shirt. Because, why not? It's an old work shirt anyway. I've got some. I know I've got some Slick 'em all here. It's kind of a double-edged sword, man. I've ranted and raved about Slick 'em all, how much I like it, and I still do. However, that's the reason why that blade is so dirty. That Slick 'em all does attract dirt and lint. I've never had it create a performance issue at all by any means, but it does do that. So every time you take your knife apart, it's going to be quite nasty. It just attracts that grime. I don't remember which one of these goes which place. I think the longer one goes to the top, if I'm not mistaken. The stop pin. And then the barrel goes at the bottom. Pretty sure that's correct. So, Stevie, you can laugh at me all you want, but just know that the anxiety and everything that is created with me having to do this over the next little while is yours and Jake's fault. And I'm sure that just tickles you to death to know that you caused that for me. Because I was perfectly happy with the knife until I realized it was half Chinese. I really hope that's right, because I got it in there. There's a double detent. I see my brother Kyle made it in here. Good to see you, Kyle. I'm sure he's probably already making fun of me. Don't blame him. Guys, this is going entirely too easy. I've got to be doing something wrong. It'd be nice to think I've just done it enough times that I'm getting better at it, but I find that kind of hard to believe. Much like sex and stuff, I don't tend to get better at it as it goes. Do I have that blade on backwards? Oh, me. Yeah. Well, I mean, I warned y'all. Stevie, buddy, you can jump in anytime you want to, brother. You know that. You don't even need an invite. It's your StreamYard. You can do what you want. Maddie tried to sneak in the other night, and I caught him. But he was just trying to help me out. Because I was too dumb to figure out how to turn a banner off or something. I don't remember what he called it. Dr. Drew, dude, this is never a tutorial. Anytime you see me do anything to a knife, it's really more of a, hey, if I can do this, anybody can type thing. I really don't need to cut myself either, guys. That's one thing my bloodstream is pumping full of blood thinners at the moment from my procedure I had done. This would be a horrible time to cut myself. I can never remember. I know it's easier to do it from one direction than it is the other, but I can never remember what that order is. Because see, it's easier to put the lock bar on like this, but then I can't get the screw in. So, flip flat. I feel for you, Shane. I'm in the same boat as you in my health. Me the same problems as you, sir. I get it, man. It sucks. You know, who said that? Tori Casey, I agree completely, dude. There was Slick 'em all on here. I didn't add any this time. This knife, for some reason, gets extremely gummed up when I use Slick 'em all. You know, I hate to say anything negative about the product because I love it, but I feel like it's more of a knife maintenance guy's. What am I trying to say? I feel like it's more for guys who really stay on top of that type stuff, and I clearly don't. Some buddies of mine used to ask me, AK or AR, and I always answered it the same way because I don't feel like there's enough ballistic difference for the average Joe to matter. So I always ask them, do you want to clean it often? are you disciplined like that? And if they are, then I tell them to get an AR. I'm like, are you like me and you abuse your stuff and don't really take care of it? Then get an AK. Something has got to be bad wrong, guys. This has not been near as much struggle as I normally have. I'm sure I'll be taking this back apart in a minute. I did learn that tuning the pivot on these AWT scales is a little different than tuning the pivot with G10 scales. It requires a more delicate touch. And I think that's just because the aluminum doesn't give as much as the G10 does. With the G10, you can kind of crush it a little, if you need to add some tension. And with the aluminum, it's like, when it bottoms out, it's just kind of there, If you guys remember my Para 3 scale swap, I darn near gave up because I couldn't get the knife to act right. And we attributed it to everything from the, because I had PM2 hardware and it was wrong and all this stuff. And come to find out, I just didn't adjust it correctly. Wow, look at that. Dead nuts. That's pretty amazing. It might be a little, yeah, it's a little snug. And I can feel it right as it closes, almost like a Benchmade. You got just a little bit of resistance there. But I do have everything fairly tight. One thing I don't do on here because, well, it's boring. Nobody wants to watch that. But I typically do this. I'll play with it for a little while, and then I'll take the pivot screws back out and put the Loctite on them. Flip flap, same here, buddy. Yeah, I've got it too tight. That's okay. I'm the exact same way, man. I quit opiates. I don't know. It's getting close to a year now. And the kratom has been a lifesaver to me. I've never abused it. I take a half a teaspoon at a time. And man, it works just as well as the hardcore prescription pain medication they were giving me. So as you guys notice, man, this is a high quality, great neck bit driver. I think this came in like one of those $9.99 whole sets of tools that had a piece of shit ratchet, some piece of shit sockets, and a piece of shit pair of pliers. This piece of shit driver, but I would rather use this any day than all this little fancy stuff. Maybe once again, may just be me, but I don't care for it, man. It don't work good for me. I don't use them. I appreciate how pretty some of them are, some of these titanium models that they have and stuff, but as far as how it performs as a tool, I look at that. I've done lost 2 screws, so you guys know what a effing nightmare that's going to be for me. I'd made a comment on here once about how I should get some magnetic bits, and Tactical Terry was kind enough to purchase me a pack of magnetic bits. And I don't think Terry or I considered the fact that this hardware is titanium. For those of you who don't know, that means that the magnetic bits are 100% useless. Now, I don't know if you guys remember the last time I did this, I tried to get that screw right there out and fought and fought and fought with it. Could not get it out. And now it falls out on me. I pried and pushed and begged and foreplayed it for half an hour. I could not get it out. And now that I don't want it out, it just falls right out. So got those two in. Now struggling to pick this last one up. Probably the same for me. Had ulnar tunnel surgery on both arms. My hands are half numb. Yeah, my hands aren't half numb. My hands hurt all the time. But this image fell out again. But they don't. They just don't do what I tell them to do. Man, I don't know how to explain nerve damage, but you know, when my mind's sending that signal, you know, twist, pinch, whatever it is I'm attempting to do, sometimes I can even concentrate on it, you know, and it just doesn't happen. My fingers just don't react. But I also learned during my nerve conductivity test that some of mine are actually cross-wired. So when they engaged a nerve for one finger, the wrong finger would move. So, you know, she said it's just because my body's had to adapt and now knows that it's cross-wired. So it kind of sucks. You know, if you want a good quality tutorial on this stuff, there's tons of them out there where you won't see guys fumbling like an idiot. But that's not what you're going to get here. What you're going to get here is the guy that is literally tickled to death every time he takes the knife apart and gets it back together. Because I have taken knives to people, Grateful Panic to be specific, in bags, disassembled, completely pissed off. Shane has some wires crossed. Sounds legit. Yeah, Shane does. Not only are my hands jacked up, I'm crazy as a June bug and a box fan. I've had a lot of guys reach out. I even had somebody reach out like they didn't believe me when I was talking about how good I felt since this procedure I had done with this stent. But man, I'm telling you, I wouldn't bullshit you about that. I legit feel better than I have in a long time, man. And you know, when you're having all that much health problems, it's yeah. I've got it off, but I mean it's assembled correctly. But may have to do though, loosen all the body screws. That's a thing apparently. Sometimes you just have to play with these things to get the action back right. It's amazing to me that a body screw can affect the action as much as the pivot, but as you just saw, it clearly did. No, sir, dang Ross. These delete this liner. It's a show side liner delete on the Apply Weapon Tech. Well, popper disassembly is not my least favorite part. I just always wonder if I'm doing it wrong or not. If I'm doing it because I know there's a particular order you can do this in, which makes your life much simpler. And I feel bad that I can't share that with the viewers to let them know, hey, do it this way, you'll be better off. But yeah, I don't know what that order is. And if I did know, I would forget by the time I do this again. So there's that. And this barrel is spinning, so I can't tighten these down anymore. So I'm going to need a pair of needle nose to hold that, which I don't have at the moment. They're in my truck. I'll have to do that later. But I wasn't about to use this knife or anything. I just wanted to get this done. I can make the rest of the adjustments later. Yeah, all the pivots or the barrels are spinning now. I know some people would adjust that till they get it to drop shutty. Man, I don't give a shit about a drop shutty knife, and I'm not cracking on you guys that do. I just think to me, it's a silly thing to judge a knife by. I just don't care. So, it is what it is. I always think I should keep these liners. I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why I would want. And if I did change these ever again, it would be to a different set of applied weapon tech scales. So I shipped some scales recently. I can't remember to who, and I told them I was going to keep my liner. And then as I was putting it in the box, I was like, why am I keeping this? I'm never going to need this. So yeah, everything's snug now. Everything seems to be working fine. The centering's dead on. I am not unhappy with that at all. So there we go. It is weird, the harmonics in this. You hear that? It almost sounds like something's loose, like something's rattling. But I mean, you can tell and feel it. It feels very, very put together, very tight. So, yeah, in case you're wondering, I don't know what this edge bevel came at, but that's a 15 degree on a PM2. It's not a super wide bevel. It's about where I like it. I like to be able to see my bevel. So, knife nut 69T right now, if I took a knife apart with Dr. KBS bearings, I would instantly box it up and send it to somebody to put back together, or it would sit in a box forever. I'd never see it again. I know for a fact that my mental health could not withstand trying to put all those little balls back together. Could not do it. One advantage to these is, I hate to have to admit this online, but my CME previously, I didn't carry this knife much because I wasn't very happy with it, because the CME would hit the scale before the blade would come loose. Probably because they're Chinese scales, and that no longer happens. So I am super happy about that. It fixed that thing, and there it is. I did it. I don't know that I'm gonna. Now that I'm hearing it, it's gonna drive me nuts. It sounds like something's loose in there. Can y'all hear that? I mean, I know you can. I mean, I guess it's just because it's aluminum. Of all the things to bother me, a little rattling noise when I drop it. Yeah, if Panic was on here, I think Dopey was there and saw it too. It would not do this previously. It would not drop. You had to push it really hard and kind of tap the back of the blade with your finger, because the CME was interfering. We even took it. Dopey even ground the back side of the. And I bet it's because these aren't. Yeah, Pretty Fly, I bet you're right, buddy. Because I just said that barrel spacers or that stop pin spinning. I bet you that's what it is. But yeah, Dopey even ground part of the CME, just a little bit of it off, because when we first put it on, it wouldn't disengage the lock at all. And I thought it was an issue with the CME. You know, they're plastic parts that very well could happen. But now we know it was not. It's this cutout right here. Was it done correctly on those Chinese scales? So if you're wondering why you shouldn't buy Chinese G10 scales for a Spyderco, that's probably it. Other than that, they did their job. They looked all right. I thought I would really like that neon green, but couldn't find out I kind of didn't. But now this is put together, I want to talk about something else that's not at all knife related. Some of you may not care. I mentioned it in the chat earlier, but some of you will. So I hope I don't offend anybody that doesn't care or run anybody off that way. But God, I've been very interested, and I try to keep up on the nice ghetto Barney knife. Thanks, Kyle. I mean, I can't afford an $800 PM2 like yours, but this will have to do for me. Anyway, I've been kind of curious about, the going-ons around the world. And, I don't remember a time when we could have, not only one, but two major military conflicts going on. And it seems almost impossible to get any unbiased, or even less possible, honest coverage on these military conflicts that can, will, and are affecting our lives right now. Whether you feel it or not, it's affecting your life. But there is one channel that I found. It's not a news channel. Many of you have heard me talk about it. It's Funker 530. That's Funker 530. Funker 530. They've been around for a long time. They kind of blew up and went viral with some footage of a Marine that got shot in the neck and continued to fight. It's on a real rocky hillside in Afghanistan. But they're currently covering mostly the Russia-Ukraine conflict. But it's not news, guys. They're not giving you any social opinions or anything like that. They're just bringing you footage from the front lines, from the people who are in these conflicts. If there's context to go along with the footage, he shares it. If the context can be confirmed or not, he shares that. But it's very interesting to watch what these people are going through. And tonight he did an interview with a guy that's a member of the... I knew I was going to forget. There were a division of the International Foreign Legion. If you go and watch his little interview, I think this is the first interview type footage he's done. This guy from the front lines over there, you can get a much better feel for what is actually going on. Now, not for the geopolitical side of it, but just what these soldiers are dealing with and what each side is doing. It's really interesting, guys, when you find out that Russia is recruiting people, Indians, Africans, people from all over the world, and offering to pay them $2,000 a month to be in the Russian military. Then when they get there, they hand them an AK-47 and point in a direction and tell them to walk. Guys, they're literally paying these people to be meat walls. And that's why you're seeing sometimes the Ukrainians and these other groups that are over there have such an easy time, because they're literally firing at guys who were starving to death a week ago or who were plowing a field. It's really interesting, though, because, now we're kind of finding out these guys die off so fast they never get paid. So it's just a free meat wall that Russia is using to push forward towards the Ukrainians and, like I said, other units who were over there helping Ukraine. But I don't want to get too deep into that. It's just it's very interesting. I highly recommend it. I didn't put it in the chat. I probably won't link it. I'll just say, if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's a very good watch. Typically, his footage is just a lot of video, from the conflict. But guys, if you have a weak stomach or you don't like to see violence like that, some of it is very graphic. So just know that. Palmer, what do you think? What is the advantage to a Gersh reblade? I've only learned recently about this. Um, I know I've defended Spyderco and talked about them being my favorite production, large production company, and they still are. But guys, in all honesty, there are still steels or still types of steel, much like this S90V. The Spyderco is not running at optimal HRC. Now, the reason why we praise them and we love them the way they do is because they're doing it better than everybody else, but it's still not optimal. That's why I don't mind having their S30V. I mean, why not? We know they're good at that. But so is the Gersh just, is it next level for, as far as heat treat or geometry? I'm not familiar with them. Gersh has some, and is the blade completely? Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm just going to try it. You guys know I suck at sharing my screen, but I'm going to try to be cold for a moment. And I'll just check YouTube first, see if I can find something on Gersh, because I only learned recently that they're even somebody doing reblades. But I know nothing about them, so I'm going to look and see. How does Magna Cut compare to? No, I don't want that. Don't want that. Yeah, I'm just not. Okay, never mind. I'm not seeing anything on there. But if some of you guys have a Gersh reblade or know a lot about them, man, hit me up on Instagram. I'd love. Gersh is a good guy. Makes pretty looking reblades. Also does a good job on heat treats. He makes ones that use studs instead of the big hole. Oh, okay. Are they typically the same blade shape, or is he kind of like Brian? He just does his own thing and kind of designs it as he goes. So I don't know anything about the dude. This is, I guess you guys can already see why I don't sharpen knives for people. You guys see that haze on my knife? That doesn't come off. That is from the slurry from my diamond stones, because I don't take the blade up and I don't wipe it off enough, and that slurry actually gets up there on the coating, and as the Veneve stone is passing back and forth across it, it's rubbing that slurry into the coating and kind of ruins it. I hate that I did that. I guess I will start taping my blades up because of that, but that's the difference. One of the differences in somebody that can get a knife sharp and somebody that sharpens knives. I can get a knife sharp, but I don't sharpen knives. I got a couple of buddies of mine I sharpen for. They're mechanics, man. They come to me with chips. They're horrible, and they're usually cheap. But his blade shapes are not what I would call standard. I got you. I would just open Google and search it, but you guys could not pay me to open my Google search live on YouTube, because there is no telling. I can't think of what might start with GE or GER. There's no telling what might pop up on my Google search, because I am a self-admitted heathen. So no, Palmer, it's ruined the coating. I don't say ruined. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I wish it wasn't like that, but no, I've alcohol wiped it. I've oiled it. Yeah, it just did that. Girls dog gun walled. that your Alabama spelling for that, Kyle? Well, that's going to drive me nuts, guys. That sound. That does not sound. I wonder if the pivot is loose and spinning. Because it does sound like it's coming from this end. I may have to take that back apart and put some plumber's tape around that and reassemble it. Stop pin, perhaps. Well, that's what I was thinking, because I know the stop pin's spinning right now, but you can hear it. It's coming from this end. Almost positive. Oh, listen to that. Boy, that drives some of y'all nuts, wouldn't it? Let's see if I can. I don't know a way I can test, see if I can spin it. I bet you it's that lanyard pin, though. That's kind of a double-edged sword. It was super easy to get in and out, but that may be a curse too, because it's no, it's noisy. But keep in mind, I wouldn't dare say that's an applied weapon tech issue, because that is not a stock Spyderco lanyard tube, and you saw how easy it came out there. So it's apparently a little smaller than stock anyway. So not going to bother me. I mean, it might bother me a little bit. Yeah, Lefty would go crazy, dude. Built-in fidget toy. Yeah, I know a lot of guys though that just could not handle that. Now it's a baby rattle. That's super glued in submission. Yeah, it's the lanyard tube, Kyle. You're right. But I think I'm just going to leave it that way and find out who all it annoys and send them daily videos of me making it rattle. Ooh, what's wrong with it? That's so funny. Ooh, all that. I was super proud that assembly went as smoothly as it did. You just want a very hot pan and it would be your maraca. It's a new feature. Oh, man. Something had to go wrong, guys. We all knew it was going to. Having my knife rattle. LMO, welcome to the club, Shane. Yeah. I ain't worried about it. I just thought it was funny that, well, now I won't do it. That's so weird. Just a minute ago, I could shake it and make it rattle. Rattle, 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 clatter. What the fuck, live? Did I miss most of it? Yeah, I ain't gonna be on here much longer either, Maddie. This was just a scale swap. I kind of had delusions of grandeur, thinking that I could make this video, and I even monetized it, the first one in a long time, and maybe people would watch it in the future. But I was very honest in the beginning that this is not a tutorial. This is a, hey, if I can do it, you can too. And of course, we end up with a Radley lanyard tube, so it is what it is. But yeah, this wasn't planned at all. Actually, it was 9 o'clock when I thought, man, I'm gonna go do that, because that is another side effect, like I was saying, to this new stent, man. I just and I don't know if it's just a mental thing, but I was bad to procrastinate. That, man, I really don't feel like messing with that right now. And past few days though, like when I've had a thought and I think, man, I'd like to do this or I need to do that, I just get up and do it. And I felt a lot better. It's really weird how much it's affected me, because, like, guys, I know this sounds dumb, but man, like, I feel lighter when I walk. Like, I feel like there's more bounce in my step. Everything. Everything seems easier than it used to. I don't know. I have no idea. Just do constant troll videos and don't respond to comments, guys. I stopped my landing too. People love to tell you how to fix something you fucked up, Mimo. You're 100% right, dude. After they get done trashing you for how stupid you are for creating that situation to begin with. God, the internet's such a crazy place. Hey, before I get off here, one more, I want to talk about one more thing. If any of you guys are a fan of or regularly watch Soft White Underbelly, I think soft white underbelly is the most important thing on YouTube. And if you got caught up in this scandal that this idiot tried to create, making Mark out to be dishonest and taking money, you need to look more into that, dude. He's proven that he gave the Whitakers every penny of that money after taxes, and yeah, don't fall for that bullshit. Looking forward to Stewie Palooza. Me too, man. Got good news that Stevie's going to be in Hville sometime in April, so I'm going to get to see him before Blade Show. That's going to be awesome. Double D love soft white, yeah. Yeah, and that kid trying to discredit him and then come out with a video, didn't apologize and tried to make out like he wasn't trying to discredit. Fuck him, man. But anyway, so guys, I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to go enjoy my new rattly knife. I do think it looks good, though, man. I'm really a fan of how that looks. I like the contrast of the blue hardware. So, yeah. Maybe I can carry it again now. Stevie and Jake had shamed me into not carrying this knife at all because they're assholes like that. But, yeah. So anyway, guys, I'm going to jump off here. You guys know I appreciate the amount of time I spend with y'all. And keep in mind, guys, this is a community, and like any other, people are going to come and go. Personalities are going to align and not align. And it just is what it is, man. No reason for anybody's feelings to be hurt over it. People are just different. We're not all going to get along. That's just the way it is. I don't want to sound like Javon, debate over hate, all that bullshit. Love you, Javon. But yeah, you know, I hate to see it. I hate to see it smudge the community and the great people that are in it. But just keep in mind, man, that we were never meant for everybody to get along. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Have a night.